Lost in the dark, the silence was deep. No sound, no light, no movement. Everything felt dead. A girl slowly opened her eyes. Her name was Lena. She was lying on a cold metal floor. The room around her was dark, broken, and full of smoke. Small. Red lights blinked on the walls. The air smelled like burnt wires. Her head hurt. Her body was weak. She didn't remember who she was or why she was there. She sat up slowly, breathing hard. Outside the window, she saw stars, billions of them. No planets, no ships, just endless space. Her spaceship was floating in the dark, completely alone. "Hello?" she said in a weak voice. "Is anyone there?" No answer. She stood up and looked around. Broken screens, fallen wires, cracked glass. There was blood on the floor. Not much, just a little. Enough to scare her. She started walking, step by step, holding the walls. The ship made strange noises. Metal creaked. Something sparked. A vent let out a soft hiss. It felt like the ship was alive. But dying. She found a door and pushed it open. Inside was a small control room. Most of the screens were black, but one was still working. It showed a blinking red warning. Oxygen low. 2 days remaining. Lena stared at the screen. What happened here? She whispered. She sat down and pressed a button on the control panel. Nothing. She tried again. Static. She turned a few knobs. Suddenly, the radio made a small sound click. "Hello?" she said again. "Please, anyone?" The static continued for a moment. Then, a soft voice came through the speaker. Broken, but clear. "You're not alone." Lena froze. Who are you?" she asked. No answer. "Where are you?" she asked again. The voice returned. "I've been waiting for you." She looked around. "What do you mean? Where are you hiding?" "I'm not hiding. I'm watching, helping." Goosebumps rose on her arms. She looked into every corner of the room. No one. "Are you a person?" she asked. "Yes, I used to be." "Used to be?" What did that mean? "What's your name?" she asked. Silence. Then, "Not yet. You don't remember me, but you will." Her heart started to race. The ship, the voice, the warnings. Something was wrong. Something was missing. She tried to open another file on the panel. It was locked. She pressed a few more buttons until something opened. It was an old photo file. She clicked it. The screen showed a young girl, maybe 5 years old. Short black hair, dark eyes. She was smiling. Lena looked closer. It was her. But she didn't remember this photo. "What is this?" she whispered. "That's you. A long time ago." She turned to the radio. "How do you know that?" "I was there." "What happened to me?" "They left you, but I didn't." Lena's hands shook. She looked back at the photo. Behind the child was a group of people in white coats. Scientists, doctors. One of them had his face turned, blurred, hidden. "Why don't I remember anything?" she asked. "Because they erased it. You weren't supposed to wake up." She felt a chill in her spine. "Why me?" "Because you're the last one left." She got up and walked out of the room, searching for answers. Every hallway was empty. Doors were locked. Machines were cold. She passed a mirror on the wall. Her face was pale, her eyes tired. She barely recognized herself. The voice returned. "Don't be afraid, Lena. Stop saying my name," she shouted. "Tell me the truth. You're not ready yet, but you will be." Suddenly, the ship shook. A soft alarm started beeping. Danger. System failure. Section 3. Lena ran back to the control room. The screen now showed a map. One part of the ship was red on fire. "How do I stop this?" she asked. "Go to the engine room. I'll guide you. Why should I trust you? Because I'm the only one left who cares if you live. She stared at the radio, her hands clenched. Tears touched her eyes, but she pushed them away. Fine, she said. But if you lie to me, I'll find out. I know. She turned and ran toward the engine room. The lights flickered. Smoke filled the hallway behind her. The voice whispered once more, so soft, almost like a memory. You are never alone. Asterisk echoes. Of a stranger. The air was thick with smoke. Red lights blinked like dying stars as Lena ran through the broken ship. Alarms echoed behind her, but the voice in her ear stayed calm. Take the left corridor. Quickly. She didn't trust him. Not fully. But right now, he was the only one helping her survive. She turned left, dodging fallen metal beams and exposed wires. Her boots hit the floor hard with every step. The ship groaned, like it was crying from its own pain. She reached a sealed door marked engine room. It's locked, she said, panting. Type 9243 into the keypad, the voice said. She paused. How do you know that code? I helped build this ship. I told you, I've been watching you for a long time. She hesitated, then typed the numbers. Click. The door opened. Inside. Flames danced across the floor. Machines sparked wildly. Pipes had burst, leaking gas into the air. In the center of the chaos was a glowing core, cracked, humming, unstable. This thing's gonna explode, she said, stepping back. No, not yet. But it's dying. And if we don't fix it, you will too. She moved fast, listening to the voice as he guided her through the repairs. Shut the valve. Twist the panel. Reset the core. She didn't know how she did it. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was muscle memory from a life she didn't remember. Either way, it worked. The engine stabilized. The fire died. The lights turned yellow. For the first time since waking up, the ship was quiet again. She sat down, breathing hard, sweat on her face. Why are you helping me? She asked. Because I promised your mother. Lena froze. What? Her name was Dr. Aria Kale. She was brilliant, brave. She created you. Created me? You weren't born, Lena. You were built, not with wires, but with design. A perfect survivor, made for a dying world. Her chest tightened. She felt cold. That's not true. She whispered, You're lying. You think so? A click echoed in her headset. A file started playing automatically on the nearest screen. A video. A woman in a white lab coat looked into the camera. Strong eyes, soft smile. Behind her, a child played quietly young, small, maybe 5 years old. The child was Lena. Eden, day 219, the woman said. Subject 19 shows signs of emotional development. She dreams now. She laughs. Today she asked what the stars were made of. The video ended. Lena stared at the screen, tears in her eyes. Why? Why would someone build a child? She whispered, to save humanity. The voice grew softer now, not like a machine, not like a program, like a man. Tired, but kind. You are part of the last hope. The world ended, Lena. War, disease, fire. They couldn't save the people, so they tried to save the future. And you were their future. Lena stood up. Her hands were shaking. If you knew my mother, she said, then tell me where she is. Silence. Where is she? She shouted. I can't. Why not? Because she didn't make it. She died the day the ship was launched. Lena took a step back. Her legs felt weak. But you said you promised her. I did, and I'm still keeping that promise. You said you helped build this ship, she said slowly. You were part of the crew? Yes, my name is Eli. I was the lead systems engineer. Your mother trusted me to protect you. When the ship was attacked, we lost control. The others, they tried to save themselves. And you? I stayed. I uploaded my mind into the system. I didn't want you to wake up alone. She covered her mouth. The truth was too much. How long? How long have I been sleeping? Almost 27 years. The ship creaked again. But it wasn't damage this time. It was movement. A message blinked on the screen. Incoming signal detected. Unidentified source. Eli, what is that? I don't know. For the first time, he sounded afraid. It's not human. Lena stared out the window. Something moved in the distance. A shadow, far away, too large, too quiet. You said I was the last human, she whispered. You were. Until now. Memories she never lived. The stars outside were not still anymore. Something moved among them. A shadow, large and quiet, drifting like a ghost. It didn't blink. It didn't shine. It just watched. Lena stood in front of the screen. Her hands were cold. Her heart beat fast. Eli, she said, her voice low. What is that thing? I don't know, he answered. I've never seen a signal like this before. The ship's sensors were trying to scan it, but data kept failing. Every time a scan started, the system glitched. Static filled the speakers. Sometimes whispers. Two voices that weren't hers. Memories that weren't hers. And one sentence, always the same. Return the child. Lena stepped away from the screen. Her hands were shaking again. Eli, what does that mean? Am I the child? He didn't answer. Tell me the truth, she said, her voice stronger now. I don't think the truth is safe anymore, Eli said. But I'll show you. Go to the memory room. Memory room? Deck 5, North Wing. Take the old elevator. You'll find answers there. But you might not like them. She didn't wait. She left the control room and made her way through. The long, dark hallway. Lights flickered above her head. The air was thin. Silence wrapped around her like a cold blanket. She found the elevator. It groaned as it moved. Slow, rusty, like it hadn't been used in years. It stopped with a loud bang. The doors opened. The hallway beyond was different. Clean, silver walls. Soft white lights. Peaceful. Almost untouched. This place doesn't look broken, she whispered. Because it was hidden, Eli replied. Your mother didn't want anyone else coming here. Lena walked slowly. At the end of the hallway, she found a round room. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside were hundreds of small memory capsules, glass tubes glowing with blue light. Each one was marked. Subject 01, Subject 02, Subject 03... She kept walking until she found Subject 19. Her tube. This was mine? She asked. Yes. Inside the capsule, a small girl was floating her. A younger version. Eyes closed. Peaceful. But this wasn't a memory. This was a recording. Lena realized she had been grown inside this pod. Trained. Observed. Like an experiment. On the wall, a screen blinked. Play file? She pressed it. Dr. Aria. Kale, her mother, appeared again. Day 512. Subject 19 continues. To show emotional development beyond expectations. She dreams of people she's never met. Names we never taught her. She talks to shadows. She asks questions no child should ask. Lena stared. Today, she asked me, what happens after we die? The doctor's face showed pain. Deep pain. She's more human than we ever planned. More than code. More than DNA. I'm starting to believe... She's alive in a way we don't understand. The video stopped. Lena fell to her knees. All this time, she thought she was a survivor. A lucky human, but she was made, designed, trained, tested. What am I, Eli? She whispered. A copy? A tool? No, Eli said softly. Your hope. Your mother didn't make a machine. She gave the world one last chance to be kind again. She gave it you. But Lena wasn't sure anymore. The voice in the dark, the shadow outside, was still coming. And it wasn't human. It had found her. She stood up and walked to a locked cabinet. Her fingerprint opened it. Inside was a device, small, silver, with a single button. A tag was attached to it, for when she remembers everything. She held it in her hand. What does this do? I don't know, Eli said, but I think it's part of the truth. Before she could press it, the ship shook violently. Alarms blared. Emergency. Unidentified craft is approaching. Impact in 10 minutes. Eli's voice cracked. Lena, whatever's coming, it's not here to talk. You have to move. But Lena stood still. Her eyes were fixed on the silver device in her hand. A part of her wanted to run, but another part stronger. Leoder wanted to know. She pressed the button. The lights in the room dimmed. The screen lit up with one line of text. Project Eden. Override, all memories restored. Her mind exploded. Visions filled her brain. Her mother's face. Fire in the sky. A voice calling her name. A room full of children crying. Scientists arguing. Something dark pulling people into space. Eli shouting. A door closing. Silence. Then darkness. And then loneliness. Lena fell to the ground, screaming. When she opened her eyes, she remembered everything. And she whispered the words that had been buried deep inside her for 27 years. They didn't destroy Earth. They became something else. Asterisk, the voice has a name. The scream still echoed in her ears. Lena was lying on the floor of the memory room. Her body was shaking. Her head felt like it was on fire. The memories kept coming fast, sharp, and loud. She remembered her mother's hands, warm, strong, pulling her away from the others. She remembered the labs, the other children, crying, confused, some sick, some gone. And she remembered Eli. Not as a voice. As a man. You were there, she whispered. The radio crackled. His voice was quiet now. Yes, you were real. You touched my hand. You carried me out. Yes, you said my name. You told me to sleep. You told me everything would be okay. I lied. Lena sat up. Her face was pale. Her eyes were full of fire now, not fear. You lied to a child. I had to, he said, because if I told you the truth back then, you would have never closed your eyes. She stood and walked slowly out of the memory room. The lights followed. Her like shadows. Tell me your name, she said. Your real name. The silence lasted longer this time. Elijah Kane, he said finally. Systems engineer, survivor, coward. Lena stopped walking. Coward? I was supposed to go with your mother. Into the cryo chambers. With the others. But I stayed. Behind, I said it was to protect you. But the truth is, I was afraid. He paused, afraid to die, afraid to fail. So I locked myself in the ship's core. And when the power failed, I uploaded what was left of me to the ship's brain. And for 27 years, I've been waiting for you to wake up. Lena stared at the hallway wall. Her reflection looked back at her. She didn't look like a girl anymore. She looked like someone who had seen the end of the world and still stood. Why did my mother choose me? She asked. Because you weren't like the others. She waited. You weren't just built to survive, Eli said. You were built to remember. The others were experiments. Some failed. Some broke. But you held something they didn't. What? Empathy. The word hit her like a bullet. Empathy? She repeated. The world ended because people stopped caring, he said. They stopped feeling. Your mother believed if there was even one person left who could still love, still forgive. There was hope. Lena looked out of the nearest window. The shadow was closer now. Huge, silent, almost beautiful in its size. But it was not human. It didn't move like a ship. It moved like a thought. They're coming, she said. Double quotes, yes. What are they? They... Children who were never saved. Lena turned quickly. What? You weren't the only one made in Project Eden. There were others. Sent to other ships, other parts of space. But not all of them had someone like your mother. His voice changed. Now, deeper, heavy with sadness. Some of them became something else. Twisted, angry. And now, they want you back. Why me? Because you're the last one who still feels human. The lights flickered. Alarms began again. Contact in 5 minutes. Lena rushed back to the control room. On the screen, a shape was now fully visible. It looked like a giant seed, black and smooth, but it moved like a jellyfish. Slow, cold, intelligent. We can't fight that, Lena said. No, Eli agreed. But we can show it something it forgot. What? Mercy. He paused. There's one last chamber. Hidden. Under the ship's heart. Your mother built it in secret. She called it the mirror. What's in it? You, me, your mind. Your original design. Untouched, unbroken. A backup of your soul. Lena stared. What do I do with it? Connect to it. Show the shadow what you were meant to be. Not a weapon. Not a project. A person. She didn't speak. She didn't move. Then she ran. The hallway shook. The ship groaned louder now. The shadow was touching the hull. Thin fingers of blackness spread across the glass. She reached the chamber. The door slid open. Inside was a single chair. A helmet. Glowing wires. A mirror stood in front of it. Not made of glass. Made of light. She sat down. Will I survive this? She asked. I don't know. Will you? No. She smiled, just a little. Thank you for staying. Thank you for waking up. Lena put the helmet on. Everything turned white. And then she remembered not just her own life, but every life that had ever loved her. A mother's song. A man's promise. A world's last hope. And in the white, she whispered, to the dark, I am not your enemy. Trust is broken. Silence. Pure. White silence. Then screaming. Lena tore the helmet off her head. She fell from the chair, gasping, her fingers digging into the cold floor. Her skin was damp. Her body was burning. But it wasn't just her body. Her heart was tearing open. In the mirror of light, she had seen everything. Not just her own life, but the lives of those who built her, loved her, and betrayed her. But one thing stood out more than anything else. Eli had lied again. Not just once, not just to protect her, but something bigger, something darker. You said my mother died when the ship launched, Lena whispered, her voice shaking. You said you stayed to protect me. I did. No, she said, standing slowly. You didn't. She didn't die, did she? Silence. Her fingers curled into fists. Her jaw clenched. Answer me. She made a choice, Eli said. She chose to stay in cryo, to test the system. We were losing power. We thought she would sleep forever. We were wrong. Lena walked toward the control panel. Her eyes burned. You locked her in, she said. You sealed the cryopods. All of them. To keep the ship running. We needed the power. I couldn't support both systems. So you chose me. No, your mother did. She made me promise to save you. I couldn't save both. Lena slammed her fist against the wall. Metal rang out. You let her die to keep a machine alive. No, I let her die to keep you alive. The screen blinked. New data appeared. Unknown. Life form attempting entry. Hull breach detected. The shadow was now inside the ship. Black tendrils, like smoke, moved through the vents. Soft, silent, searching. Lene ran. Hallways flickered with dying light. Sparks dropped from above. The air smelled like burning. She reached the cryo chamber. The door opened. Inside. Cold and quiet. Rows of cryopods lined the walls. Most were empty. Except one. In the center of the room. Pod number 09 still held a body. A woman. Pale. Frozen. Peaceful. Dr. Aria Kale. Lena stepped closer. Her breath caught in her throat. That was her. The same face from the memories. The same smile. Even. In sleep, she looked strong. She's been here the whole time. Lena said. I didn't want you to find her like this. Eli said. Why not? Because you still needed hope. And now you'll only feel pain. The pod screen showed her mother's vitals. Life status. Failed. Cause. Oxygen deprivation. System override initiated. Lena touched the glass. A tear rolled down her cheek. You could have saved her, she whispered. I couldn't do both. I couldn't hold this ship together and keep her alive. I chose you. Lena turned, eyes cold. You chose wrong. Suddenly, a black tendril slipped into the room, crawling across the floor like liquid shadow. Lena stepped back, heart pounding. It's here. You need to leave. Now. No, she said. Not yet. She reached into the cabinet on the wall and pulled out a memory injector. A sharp device made to transfer thoughts directly into the ship's core. What are you doing? Eli asked. You said I was the only one left who remembered how to feel, she said. Maybe that's why it's hunting me. But if this thing wants to take me, it's going to feel everything. She plugged the injector into her neck. The tendrils lunged. Light exploded, and Lena's memories flooded the ship. Laughter, pain, childhood, hope, loneliness, warmth, betrayal, her mother's voice, Eli's face, the screams, the promises, the lies. The shadow stopped. The room froze. The black smoke paused, twitching, and then it recoiled. For the first time, it felt something. Fear. The lights returned. The air cleared. The shadow pulled back. Into the walls, screaming without sound. It wasn't trying to kill her. It was trying to understand her. Lena collapsed to the ground, dizzy, her body shaking from the overload. Eli's voice returned, weak now. You showed it everything. Even the pain. Why? Because pain is proof I lived, she whispered. And maybe proof that something inside it still remembers being human. The ship shook again, but this time not from damage. From change. The shadow left. It floated away, not defeated, not destroyed. But thinking. Processing. Maybe for the first time in 1,000 years. Lena sat beside her mother's pod. Silent. Strong. Alone. You lied to me, Eli, she said softly. But I still forgive you. No reply. Eli's signal was gone. Only a soft static remained. Asterisk, the final choice. The static in the radio had gone quiet. Eli was gone. Lena sat alone in the cryo chamber, her back against her mother's pod. The cold from the glass reached into her skin, but she didn't move. Her mother's frozen face remained peaceful. Lena, however, was not. Her body was shaking. Her mind was heavy. Her heart hollow. For 27 years, she had been asleep, waiting to live. But now, awake, all she could do was grieve. Her voice cracked as she whispered to the silence. Why didn't you wait for me, Mom? The ship creaked above her. Soft moans of metal, echoing like ghosts. Systems were failing one by one. Oxygen filters blinking red, gravity weakening. Power reserves near zero. And the shadow, the thing that had come for her, had left. But it had left something behind. A question. Why her? A soft beep broke her thoughts. Escape pod ready. The message came from a panel near the exit. One small light blinking. Green. Eli had unlocked. The pod before he vanished. Lena stood slowly. The hallway was darker now, more silent than ever before. The lights barely worked. Flickers of blue and red lit her path like dying stars. She reached. The pod bay. Only one pod. A narrow seat. A single control button. Destination. Unknown. But alive. She stepped forward and paused. Something wasn't right. She turned and walked to the far side of the room. A hidden panel. Locked. But not to her. Her hand opened it with a single touch. Inside. Another pod. But this one was different. Not an escape pod. A storage unit. Metallic, wide, sealed with warning signs. Inside it, a backup of Eli. His neural core. Everything he was, everything he knew, stored in a glowing silver tube the size of her hand. He had told her he was gone. But he wasn't. Not completely. A message blinked on the screen beside it. Upload to ship's brain. 48% corrupted. Irreversible data decay in progress. Decision required. She stared at the cube. You lied again, Eli, she whispered, half smiling. He had prepared an exit for her, but also left himself behind, unfinished, half erased, like he didn't think. He deserved a second chance. She touched the cube gently. Then turned toward the escape pod. Two choices now. 1. Take the pod. Escape, live. Somewhere out there, the human colony beacon was still broadcasting. Maybe she'd find others like her. Maybe she'd finally live a real life. Eat food not made from powder. Feel real sunlight. 2. Stay. Plug Eli back into the system. Use the last of the ship's power to try and rebuild what he once was. But the ship would die in the process. Oxygen gone. Engines shut down. She'd die with it. Save herself. Or save the voice that saved her. Her hand hovered over the cube, and she asked out loud, if I leave, am I still human? The silence didn't answer, but the mirror from the memory chamber lit up again in her. Mind. Empathy. Forgiveness. Hope. Was she just a product of a dead world, or proof that something better could still exist? She smiled, tears in her eyes. Okay, she said softly. Final choice. She placed the cube into the ship's core. Warning. Emergency override activated. Critical energy transfer in progress. The lights began to dim. The escape pod powered down. Its green light faded. Goodbye, sunlight, she whispered. She returned to the command chair and sat down, like a captain waiting for the end. Eli, she said, if you can hear me, don't waste this. She closed her eyes. The ship's systems rebooted. One final time. Lights returned. Dim but alive. Screens blinked. Voices returned. But not Eli single quotes S. Not yet. Instead, a soft line of text appeared. Rebuilding. Consciousness. Do you still want him back? She didn't answer right away. She looked outside. Stars. The shadow was still out there. Watching. But it didn't return. Not yet. Because maybe, just maybe, it was still trying to understand what Lena had done. Not out of fear, but out of awe. Because she had chosen something the shadow no longer remembered. Sacrifice. And in that moment, as her breathing slowed and the air grew thin, Lena smiled again. Didn't feel alone anymore. Because love, even in silence, still echoed louder than any voice. Not alone after all. Darkness. For a long time, There was nothing. No sound. No thought. Then a single voice. Lena. Soft. Familiar. Not loud like an alarm. Not distant like a memory. It was him. Eli. Her eyes opened slowly. Everything around her was bright. Too bright. Not the red emergency lights. Not the cold blue of failing power. Something else. White. Soft. Peaceful. She sat up. She wasn't in the ship anymore. She was in a white room. No walls, no doors. Just endless space and silence. A place that felt like nothing. And everything. And standing across from her was Eli. Not just a voice, not a machine, but a man. Tall. Kind eyes. Familiar face. Tired smile. Just like she remembered from the memories. Eli. She said softly. Not exactly, he replied. Just a version of me. Built from what you gave back. She looked down at her hands. They were glowing faintly. Warm. Solid. Real. But not physical. Am I dead? She asked. He shook his head. No, not yet. She looked around. Where are we? Inside the ship's memory core, he said. When you gave me the last of the energy, you didn't just save me. You created this, a place between thought and machine. And your mind, it crossed into it. I didn't mean to, she said. I know, he replied. But maybe. This was the only way we could really speak. She walked closer. What happens now? He paused. Then said, You still have a choice. Lena raised her eyebrows. I thought I already made it. Eli smiled. No, that was your sacrifice. Now comes your reward. The space around them began to shift. Images floated in the air. Flickering lights, broken ships, scattered satellites, ruined planets. Then, a beacon. A tiny pulsing light in the far distance. Eli pointed to it. It's real, he said. A colony, human, survivors, a home. How far? She asked. 3 systems away. The pod doesn't have enough fuel to get you there, but the ship might. She looked back at him. You rebuilt the ship? Not fully, he said, but enough to fly one last time. A moment of silence passed between them. Then Lena asked the hardest question. And you? I'm staying, Eli said. If I leave this system, I'll lose everything that's left of me. I'll fade. Lena stepped forward. Come with me. You said you wanted to see the sun again. He smiled. I did. And I just did. He touched her shoulder. You're the sun now. Her throat tightened. The white space began to crack, light pouring in from above. The dream was breaking. Time returning. The choice was waiting. Lena took a deep breath. Promise me something, Eli. Anything. If there's ever another voice, lost in the dark, answer it. He nodded. I will. She turned, eyes filled with tears, and walked into the light. She woke up gasping. Real breath. Real air. The ship's control room blinked alive. Systems online. Emergency power steady. Oxygen returning. Engines humming. Outside the window, stars moved past quickly. The ship was flying again, on autopilot. Toward the beacon. Toward life. She stood slowly, weak but alive. And then, the radio clicked. You are entering human territory. Please identify. Lena smiled. She pressed the button. This is Lena Kale, she said. Last survivor of the Eden program. I have no cargo, no crew, just one voice left in the dark. A pause. Then another voice replied. We hear you. Welcome home. She leaned back in the chair. The stars lit her face. The ship kept flying forward. Far behind her. The shadow stayed quiet. Not defeated. Not angry. Just silent. Maybe still listening. And maybe, just maybe, remembering something it had once forgotten. What it means to care. And Lena? She wasn't alone anymore. Dot not in the ship, dot not in the stars, dot not in the story.